This morning is by Tim Shea, and it's called Mapping Athens in a Classroom. Tim comes to us from Duke University, right down the road, where he's finishing his dissertation on the art and archaeology of classical Attic cemeteries. His interests range broadly, but for the last few years he's been heavily involved in reconstructing urban topography of Athens with GIS, and I think we'll hear a little bit about that. He's participated in various excavations in Morgantina, Sicily, and in Azoria and Crete, as well as in the Athenian Agora. And as I think he'll be centering on today, he's also faced the challenge of making the kind of research that we do interesting to American undergraduates who can often be a little distracted. So we'll hear much more about that today, and let us welcome Tim. There are some seats of people coming in up here in the front. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. All right. I just want to say at the beginning, if you have a mobile device or computer, please hook up to Wi-Fi. I'll hand out a URL so you can look and play with data in real time. I think it's UNC guest, and it should be.
Or if you have EduRun is working.
Okay, EduRun is working too. Thank you. Okay, so in the title of my paper, I mentioned that we're mapping ancient Athens in a classroom. In reality, it's a renovated tobacco warehouse on Duke's campus, which now houses the Department of Art History, and Visual Studies. On Friday afternoons in Bay 11, students in various digital humanities groups gather together in the same space to work on radically different projects. Here, students using SketchUp, Unity, Photoscan Pro, Maya, AutoCAD, Adobe Suite, ArcGIS, will all be working alongside one another. This environment really does create an electrically creative setting for undergraduate and graduate students and professors alike. It's in this environment, populated by these various historical and art historical projects, that Digital Athens is situated. As co-director of the Digital Athens project with Professor Sheila Dillon, I trained students how to use ArcGIS and QGIS for the purpose of bringing together plans and drawings from scattered excavations into a single database. The Digital Athens project is now 2 years old and has attracted Duke undergrads majoring in, but not limited to, political science, history, art history, psychology, mathematics, computer science, and visual and media studies. None of our students, except for one, an MFA student, has come into the lab with any prior knowledge of GIS systems, and most have little background in classics or ancient history. In a way, Digital Athens students are exploring Athens through the lens of GIS. So instead of studying a decontextualized plan of a building, memorizing its supposed function, what was found there, what its phasing was, students ask, where was this building located in the ancient city? What are the modern topographic markers noted on the map that will help me locate it in relation to the modern city? And what other ancient material was in its immediate vicinity? Having just taught a course on the art and archaeology of the classical period at Duke last fall, I can say that our students in the lab, who work for 2 hours a week on Fridays, know ancient Athens at such a detailed, fine resolution compared to students who encounter it in hour-long thematic lectures. The knowledge sets produced in each setting, that of the lecture hall and that of the DH laboratory, are radically different but equally valuable. By having the focus of students' investigation always on location, which I picked up from yesterday, and therefore archaeological and urban context, they're learning about the city of Athens as a real place that existed and still exists, sometimes several meters below the modern ground level. There's a tangibility to this type of learning that cannot be replicated in a lecture setting. With each new group of students, I've given a sort of boot camp for the fundamentals of GIS, how to georeference an image, how to create vector layers, point line, polygons, and attach an attribute table with information. Once students are comfortable with these basic functions of the software, it's been my experience the students of this generation have been extremely comfortable branching out on their own and learning new functions and processes when needed. Since the beginning of our project, we've been using the 4 typical sources of data, This is our URL for the various projects in the Wired Lab. So yeah, the four types of data is satellite imagery available through ArcGIS Online or QGIS is Google Satellite plugin. Aerial photography, historical maps of Athens date back to the 19th century, and published plans of archaeological remains. As a project, we decided that it would be best to start with material from the Athenian Agora for several reasons. First of all, it comprises a large portion of the area of the ancient city, at least the portion contained in the Mysticlean walls. Moreover, it's been more or less continuously excavated since 1931, and all the plans and drawings are available electronically on the site's website. The other benefit is that all materials are published and searchable in English, though our students, I should say, are they've started to lose their fear of German and Italian, and we have a new Greek grad student who's been helping out a lot of Greek. The materials that we focused on at first were block plans of structures located within the Agora, especially how they change over time. One of our students, Alex Smith, who graduated in 2015, vectorized all of the phase plans of the Agora, often consulting 5 or 6 plans per building in order to get the most accurate reconstruction possible. These plans shown here represent hours of work meticulously tracing the courses of walls of buildings, and the names of each building are in an attached table. Our small outfit of students and grad students in the Wired Lab has been collaborating with colleagues in Athens in order to maximize the impact of our work and make connections with people doing similar work in Athens. Bruce Hartzler, who manages the digital archives of the Agora excavations and who's developed the field data collection software iDig for the iPad, has used some of our georeference plans in iDig, which can be called on in the field while further data is collected. It should be noted that all the work that we've done as part of the Digital Athens project is in WGS 1984, often projected in this pseudo-Mercator web projection, which is the default for most of the software we use. As a result, all of our data is easily used in online platforms like Mapbox and Story Maps, which we'll see in a second. The Agora data, though, is still collected in the HAT coordinate system, which is a projected coordinate system using the Bessel 1841 datum point, and is recorded in several different sheets. Needless to say, it's difficult switching between the two coordinate systems, and as far as I know, there's no transformation. If you know of one, please talk to me.
Raise your hand.
There's an old software program that allows for points to be converted from one to another, but it's too tedious to be useful. Therefore, all the work we've done for the Agora is in the HAT system, and it must be done separately. But the data that the Agora shared with us to help out is extremely rich with information, excellent for studies. So they've given us a stone-by-stone survey of the entire Agora, which was done for the planning of an archaeological park that would include the Carolinas and the Agora. Our other collaborators with whom we've been working are Lita Kostaki and Anita Theoharaki, who've done extensive work reconstruction of the topography of ancient Athens from rescue excavations. Lita wrote her dissertation on every excavated segment of ancient road in Athens and their surrounding environs, while Anita reconstructed the course of the ancient walls, published recently in monograph form. Together, they've come as close to completing a plan of all the excavated remains of Athens as one can. All of their work is currently in AutoCAD, broken into several sheets without spatial reference, and part of our future collaboration will involve helping them migrate their CAD data into GIS, and this will begin in the fall semester. So our group of graduate students, undergraduates, and Professor Dillon and I have become part of this larger initiative to map ancient Athens, and one of the main goals of our project is to create a database of all the remains of ancient Athens and to communicate this information effectively to scholars and the general public. So Alina Talman, who recently finished her MFA at Duke, took the shape files that Alex created as well as information on wells and burials from the Agora, collected by another student, Casey Tissue, and visualized them together in Mapbox. Hoping this one. So, right, so here's all of the plans Alex made. You can zoom in and out, we can toggle on each period. Kind of peel back the diagram. Okay. As many of you probably know, there's this trade-off between creating the most useful data possible for research and displaying in an interactive environment which can be useful to non-specialists who might not necessarily know GIS. Mapbox may be one of the more user-friendly interfaces we found, but I'm not sure that it's most producer-friendly. So we've recently tried Story Maps, which is Esri's new in-house online publishing platform. So for the rest of this presentation, please feel free to take out cell phones, laptops, iPads, Palm Pilots, NoDS, whatever you have, and go to this URL. I'll leave it up for a second. You can write it down. This is my first. I just recently experimented with this too, so it's glitchy. Are we good? Anyone need more time? Cool. All right. So here, all of the data behind each feature can be called on by clicking on them. Right? So the confetti dots all over the place are the same wells that we just saw in Mapbox. One of the problems that I encountered while creating these maps and story maps is that it has awful color ramps, none of which are graduated. So I went for funfetti. I think this one's called. That's what I felt like. So you can click on wells if it has an ID or it's been published with a specific name, that should come up in box. One of the things that Professor Dillon and I like to do at the lab is to bring research questions that we're curious about or working on currently, so that the group can contribute and participate. Professor Dillon has been looking at the different foci of marble working and bronze working within the city of Athens. So if you click over to the next tab, or swipe right if you're on a phone, and no, that's not a computer. You'll see our agora again. I've added some extra things. So here, if you zoom out a bit, the roads come from Laura Ficuccello's La Strada di Atene. The Themistoclean Wall is from Anita Theoharaki's Hesperian article. All the foundries and casting pits have been marked by this kind of pick and spade symbol. There's one there. Right, so you can see the ancient roads and the wall there. If we zoom in back to the agora, we can look at the archaic foundry. If we pull it up. Here. Which was in use around 550 next to this apsidal archaic temple of Apollo, which is often associated with. We can also look at the Hephaestion temple and the foundry associated with it. These two foundries are often cited as evidence that cult statues and maybe other bronze statues were made in the vicinity of where they were erected. Well, if we look outside the city, come back out, to the west and east, sorry, it's hard to switch back and forth. If we look outside of the agora, we'll see that there's plenty of evidence for metalworking taking place on the western end and the eastern ends of the city, just inside and outside the city walls. So on the west end, in the area of the Kerameikos, it's this area here, the area of Balzed, in the phase prior to and after its potential use as a house of repute. Casting pit 4 was used in the 5th century. On the other end of the city in Syntagma Square, so if you zoom in this area of the city, here. There were 7 5th century casting pits found in a 20-room bronze workshop. Clearly, there was bronze working activity taking place outside or near the edge of the city, and for good reason. Bronze casting is extremely dangerous because you're handling molten metal. There's also the noxious fumes that it produces, especially during the chemical treatment of the surface. It also requires access to water. It's no wonder then that it's located right along both of these hubs, or right along the river, which I brought in blue. It also explains why they're often found near bathhouses, which I was going to use a bathroom symbol, but it seems like not the time in North Carolina. I chose this shower. There was no bathtub, so I chose this little showering person for the different bathhouses that we found around Right. Anyway, both bronze working and bathhouses require water. You want your toxic bronze workshops to be just outside the city, or bathhouses just before you enter. Okay, the last tab contains some of the data that I've collected as part of my dissertation, the art and archaeology of classical tombstones, and I'll supplement the slides as well. This is just so you can play with my dissertation data if you want to see what's behind it. So all the red dots on the story maps page represent classical tombstones that have a somewhat secure context. You can click on them to look at the context in whatever specificity it's been published. I've also included other burial and find spot data for you as well. So the blue dots represent the find spots of Roman tombstones as published by Dirk von Muck on an unlabeled map. Please label that. The green dots are inscribed bases of archaic tombstones that I thought I would just include for good measure since I'm orange circles represent cemeteries published in Burial in Ancient Society by Ian Morris. The number of burials for each period should be in a table. All gray areas on the map are excavations in which burials from the classical period were found. So Syntagma Station, Royal Stables, there's a couple of big cemeteries up near Ammonia Square here. This is the Lyceum, that's the only one that's not a cemetery, but it's good too. Okay. I brought these tombstones together in a GIS database to show you that that the cemeteries outside the Kerameikos near Balzed points that we looked at just a second ago can be reconstructed and studied as discrete bodies of evidence. Tombstones have been typically studied by type or chronology, so my approach differs in that I study them by cemetery context. If we look at the distribution of foreigners and slaves in the north and eastern cemeteries, and compare it to a database of tombstones from the Kerameikos, which I also created and have mapped in any way, you can see that Kerameikos and North Cemetery have about 7% tombstones of foreigners. However, in the East Cemetery, foreigners make up about 16%, or more than double. Right? So you can't know that unless you create these spatial data sets. We can also look at the distribution of children's tombstones versus those of families. In the North Cemetery, 8 tombstones of children were found. The Kerameikos, with over 200 tombstones found in excavations, only has 3. So you can see that the North Cemetery has far more children commemorated there than in the Kerameikos, which could be, which could represent disparate forms of commemoration of children among different socioeconomic groups, or that this particular cemetery was more suitable for single burials for children. This final section is just meant to be a small window into the GIS database that's the foundation of my dissertation, and is intended to show how my work is illuminated by the work that the students do in their lab. So the East Cemetery, in addition to being a cemetery, was also home to a large-scale bronze workshop and a bathhouse, which may explain why a higher percentage of the tombstones there are less expensive forms than those in the Carolina Cemetery. To close, I wanted to bring the focus back to the students that I've gotten to work with in our laboratory and the work that they're doing now. So Alina, who did the Mapbox work, she's now managing all of the GIS data for an environmental law firm in the area, a job that she says that her experience with our lab helped her secure. Another student, Anna Jr., will be collaborating with the City of Durham on their Durham Neighborhood Compass Project, a digital mapping outfit that sheds light on our community through its visual aggregation of data ranging from income level, transportation access, to housing and investment costs. Again, she had no prior experience with GIS before Digital Athens, so that's kind of a little victory for us. A former student, Alex, wrote in, quote, "Working on the Digital Athens project was one of the most rewarding experiences I've had at Duke. As a part of the project, I felt that I was given a chance to contribute something genuinely useful to the field of archaeology, which isn't often the case as an undergraduate. Digital Athens exposed me to an incredible, inspiring group of people and new interests. The opportunity it gave me to start with a creative idea and turn it into a visual reality was invaluable." So our lab brings together different interests. The interesting data sets, spurs on research ideas, and allows us to produce quality scholarship. There's something truly rewarding in working with undergraduate students and feeling like we are on the precipice of discovery. It's almost like we're standing on the edge of an active trench. So thank you for your time.